Calling all units, calling all units. Donut shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.
All right, we're here. What's up, man? We
going
are
on?
in a donut shop or back in the donut shop. I've been doing some other episodes and I hope you guys have checked it out. I got to make sure that I'm talking to the main camera. Here with my boy Kyle Fletcher, KFletchPhotography on Instagram. So, you know, I brought him in because he's a friend, but then, you know, he's got some sick social media stuff with supercars. I mean, what do we call all this stuff?
Now I just call them hunks of metal and wheels.
Yeah, you've gone beyond even caring what they are.
If I see like a Bugatti or a Koenigsegg or a Honda Civic, it's a four doors, motor, wheels. It's all the same thing.
Volkswagen GTI.
Insurance looks at it all the same. It's just an automobile.
Does it? Yeah.
So now I've seen it all, I've driven them all, but yeah, I'm very blessed to say that, you know, I get to see some cool stuff, exotic supercars, stuff like that.
Yeah. So you started out as like a photographer, right? Mm-hmm. And then and then you got into the cars, or were you into what came first, cars or photography?
That's a good question. So, man, that's actually a really good question. So I've been doing this for about 11 years, and my father was a firefighter.
Okay.
I don't talk too far. So my father was a firefighter, and when he was off shift, 48 hours off, 24 hours on, 48 off, he would always, have a hobby to do, either working on the house or we do something with cars or planes.
Yeah.
So every year when literally the Miami Auto Show would happen over by the Tower Shops, every Friday was the car show by Tower Shops.
Yeah.
We would always go to it. He would always bring me to it. Mm-hmm. And dude, it was like growing up, I would always go to the Tower Shops car show. We would go to the auto show every year. So from like 7 years old all the way up to 15, 16, 17, 18 when I graduated. And then just watching, like my heroes growing up were like Paul Walker, Ken Block. So, watching Too Fast, Too Furious, the first Fast and Furious. So, Too Fast, Too Furious was filmed.
Second one was filmed
right over here.
Yeah, not too far from here. So
just growing up seeing the R34 Skyline that Paul Walker drove, from Ken Block starting in his Subaru to his sponsorship with Ford and watching all the Gymkhanas. I remember I would get so excited whenever Gymkhana 2, 3, and the one with Rob Dyrdek, which is I think 2.5 or 3.5. Don't quote me on that one.
You're not going to get it from me.
Literally. So from Ken Block to Paul Walker, like those were like the two main guys that got me into cars. And it was just, it wasn't even photography. It was just doing cool. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah.
Doing cool shit with cars was like my thing. Was just doing cool shit with cars. That was like my main thing. And just, my dad was trying to get me to figure out what I wanted to do after high school. And, I tried, police, fire, being a pilot. I tried them all and I just didn't click with it. I love it. Like I love aviation. I love anything from military defense to first responding. I love all that. But it just didn't click because I was raised around it. From what my mom does too, what my dad does. And it just clicked where his hobby, he always told me that his hobby was, he would always take photos. Like when we would go to the air shows, he would always have a camera. He would have an old Canon 1D, not a 1D. That's actually the unicorn, but it was a Canon. It was a 5D Mark 1. Okay, like old, full metal body, whole full metal shutter, heavy as hell. Full 7200 Canon 7200 Mark 1. So this thing was like a bazooka.
Yeah.
It was like a rifle
with a missile launcher. Yeah.
I will never forget growing up, going to the air show down in Homestead, and he always told me, he goes, Kyle, if I ever had the opportunity to make a living out of this, that'd be the dream. And I would be like, but it. Here's me, my little 14-year-old self. I'm like, oh, but it's not that cool as being a firefighter. And he was like, no, it's not what it's about. He goes, it's about what you love to do and being the best you could possibly be at doing it. Yeah. And I remember he bought me, it was like right towards the end, he bought me a camera for Christmas. And I'll never forget it. It's right here, tattooed on me.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, there, right.
It was a Canon. It was a Canon. It was a Canon, I think it was a 40D or a 50D. Or something like that, because now they're at like 90 or like 80D. And then
it's above 80D, because 80D is like what like Casey Neistat was using as a vlog camera for a long time. Yeah. So that inspired me when I was for the police department doing that stuff. That was the first camera I told the police department to get was the 80D. So that thing's
it's not an 80D. No. It's a T3i.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like a Rebel.
That's like old Canon Rebel T3i.
I was like, it's got that hump on the top, that kind of
plastic little head unit.
Yeah, the head unit, and then has the flash that pops up. So
flash that I would tape down, because whenever I was taking photos as a beginner, it would always flip up, and I literally like duct taped it down so it wouldn't go up. So
yeah, because for those, we're sorry, we're geeking out with photography silliness. Okay, so you got that first camera growing up.
Got the first camera.
And then you kind of got the bug from there with photography stuff?
So, yeah, it was right around then. He got that for me, and he looked at me, he said, if you're going to live this dream of mine, one of my dreams of mine, because his ultimate dream was to be a fighter pilot, and he was going to be one. Vietnam War ended, and then he became a firefighter, which was volunteer at the time. So father's had a great career.
Cool.
He told me, he goes, look, if you're going to live this dream, one of my dreams of mine, be the best you possibly can be at it. And another one of my role models growing up is going to sound a little cringe for the viewers, but I'd always looked up to Tom Brady growing up. I did. So if it wasn't Ken Block or Paul Walker in the automotive world, my dad surrounded me around people of greatness. And at the time, Michael Jordan was retired. You had the Derek Jeter. He was on his way. But like right then and there, I was watching like Dale Earnhardt Jr. in NASCAR, and then like F1. I wasn't really a thing for me when I was young, but then like it was really just Tom Brady watching football and watching greatness of just resilience and just giving it your all every single time. So started there, and then I remember being in my high school parking lot, and we had like a photography group, and I joined that. I remember the head. I'll never forget the guy's name. I don't want to call him out, but I remember I joined the photography club, and he looked at me and he said, "Don't ever take a photo again. This is horrible." And I have to give a shout out to my friend Hugo, one of my best friends for life. He looked at me, and he was going to FSU. And I was so bummed out. And he looked at me flat out, and he was like, "Dude, F that guy. Like, if you fuck him, you don't need a photography course." This was like right when Facebook went public.
Oh, okay.
And right when Instagram came out.
So
like Facebook didn't own Instagram then. So like it was like a whole different world.
So
like Instagram came out.
Instagram was fun, but Instagram was all about filtering and and putting different stuff in there. So, but that was a creative social time. And I mean, I know people would argue right now that there's creativity on social media too, but back then there was creativity for me with like Vine, like with creating little videos. Like I have a cupcake video where I did like kind of stop motion and created like a stop motion video with a cupcake getting eaten and gone.
Dude, Vine was good.
Vine was fun.
That was like Logan Paul's like start.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like
Dancing in his room and all that kind of stuff on Vine. But so that was fun. And then Instagram eventually added video and stuff more because of Snapchat and all that.
It's nuts now, me doing this for 11 years now in the photography, videography world, is that when it's so hard because like when I joined the photography world and the automotive industry, the people that I looked up at, like you might not know who this is, but like a really good friend of mine now is like big that I looked up to is Anthony Anderson, great automotive photographer. He was more so of like the corporate fundamentals of the photography world of how to, get what you're worth and stuff. And then I look up to the people like William Stern, one of the greatest automotive photographers in the world, who's become a really good friend of mine.
Oh, that's awesome.
He just is a workhorse of he sees things through his eyes that nobody else sees. And that's where I get a lot from. And then when it just comes to pure just getting better and better and better, good friend of mine, Sam Dobbins. So another great photographer too. Used to work for Voss and Wheels, Rotiform. We used to work for Ken Block until unfortunately sadly passed away. And now he's doing a lot of work for Volkswagen. So those three guys, it was like when I joined, I was 18 years old. These guys were already in their 25, 26. So that here I come. Social media just started, and social media completely changed the world, as you know.
I mean, that's amazing to be able to have idols and people that you look up to, and then that you can meet them, and that they're cool enough to let you in and work with you. And I know for sure that you're humble enough that it's easy enough for people to let you in. You're not a piece of shit that runs around like a shit don't stink. And
so it took some time because I gotta be honest. When social media really started to go, and my name really started to get out there in the photography world, a lot of those guys, they were, I did have like a little tension with them. I would start getting hired for jobs where they wouldn't get hired for them, or I would get opportunities sent to me where they weren't getting it. So for the first, it was like on my third year when my name really started to, I'm very blessed to say that my name really started to get out there. But it was around that time where there was a lot of tension, and I tried my best. I was young,
little beefing,
not necessarily that. It was It's tough for me to say now. I'm 29, but like when I look back and I would talk to like my 21-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
When you're getting hired endlessly at 21 and you're getting paid to do what you love and you're starting to get notice and attention or fame from it or social fame or whatever cringe thing you want to call it now, my ego was really horrible. It was nuts. I had like no connection to family or friends, and I was just so focused on just getting my name out there. I was like addicted. It was like a drug. I won't even lie to you. And then it just took a lot of people, a lot of really good family and a lot of good friends that I keep really close that really were able to, get to the root and, really keep my ego deflated. So now I'm very blessed, just to say that, I'm blessed to have every opportunity I get today. Yeah. Everybody deserves every equal right. Everybody deserves every opportunity in this industry because, every creative mind's different. You could view something completely different from me.
Totally.
This person over there that's out there in this donut shop, they could view something totally different from us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the cool thing about in the creative world, that every human mind and every eye is totally different.
Yeah, and what relates to different people and how it goes. And it goes with this show too. People may not find him interesting at all, but I find him interesting and I want to talk to him. And in the way that I feel in today's day and age is that you almost have to lock people into a room to be able to talk to them for enough time to get enough out of them to have a conversation. And so that's kind of what I feel like with this podcast these days is, there's some interesting people out there that I want to talk to, and this is how I'm going to do it. Tell them, hey, I got this little podcast. You want to come over to a donut shop and talk to me, and then we can have an uninterrupted conversation about some of this different stuff. And here's where it's going to go. So, all right, well, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm sure that there's many of us that are aging, and we've thought about hormone replacement therapy. I've visited my doctors and discussed it, and I'm still kind of on the fence and not really sure what I want to do. But now I think I've kind of found it, and I know that we could all use a boost of testosterone in our life. Well, check out the best in the game, Human Performance Team. It connects you with doctors via telehealth, and you could submit your labs that you've maybe already done, or you can get fresh ones done. They offer a variety of services like primary care, urgent care, weight loss, and even mental health. We all know that, these jobs weigh on us and our mental health. Jump over to hptrt.com and use the code DSP for a continuous discount. Use the code DSP and get on a road to better health. All right, we're back. Thanks for that on the break. And but we're talking about, he's got a YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel?
It's just KFletch.
KFletch?
You just type in KFletch and it's right there. They think the handle's KFletchPhoto. But if you just type in KFletch,
so he's got a like a car photography vlog type channel that's cool. It goes with you on your adventures with these cars and photo shoots and stuff. But it's cool. I'll have all the links down below if you're either listening to it in podcast land or on YouTube. But one of the things we were talking about on the break was just your ability to be able to speak clearly, have a cohesive statement to make, and it's like you've been doing it a long time, and you were giving kudos to that.
Yeah, so I was giving, what you just said, I was giving kudos to YouTube, but I actually have to give kudos to somebody, because a really good friend of mine, his name's Heath, Heath Huzar. I don't know if you guys know him on YouTube or not. He's like, probably has like 2-3 million subs.
What's up, Heath? How's it going?
So, hey, shout out to Heath. I'll probably text you to watch this, but he gave me the best advice, because he's kind of semi-retired now. He's doing his thing. He's venturing into investments and stuff. So good for him, and he's getting married soon. Congrats to Heath and Mariah. He gave me the best advice, because I was so nervous in my first video, and he watched my first video. I gave him all the raw footage, and he goes, "This one, you're doing everything great." He goes, "This one rule you need to follow." I was like, "What is it?" He goes, "When you turn that camera around, remember you're not talking to the camera. You're not talking to you're nervous because you don't want to mess up or you don't want to fuck up or whatever."
Yeah.
He goes, "Just remember." You're talking to the world.
Right.
He goes, and the best advice, that wasn't even the advice. The best advice was your storytelling. Just tell a story. That was the second he said, dude, when you're looking at it, you're not talking to yourself. You're not talking to just the camera. You're not.
What do we got out there?
I don't know. It sounded like a Hellcat or it sounded like a Charger.
We're right near the road, so the cars are whizzing by right behind these cameras here.
And then to retort myself, it was the second he said, just tell a story.
Yeah.
Storytell. And the second he did that, dude, clicked.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then after a while, the stuttering, got weeded out. The uhs got weeded out.
Yeah.
The likes, the little things that us humans do naturally when we're awkward or we're nervous. It just naturally got weeded out. So big shout out to Heath for that one.
It's good. It's good. And it's kind of like the same thing with podcasting. If anybody who's ever doing podcasting, is just have a conversation.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I've been nervous, but it's my first one. I was telling you on the break, my first podcast that I was doing was a soccer podcast, and it was sitting at a table with 4 people in a kitchen drinking beers. There was like 5 or 6 usually standing in the kitchen, watching us like a live studio audience. And so it was really just us talking trash.
Nice.
And so we had fun with it. And it was a streaming one, and people could call in. There was a phone number through Skype that there was a phone number.
Live phone-ins?
Yeah, live phone-ins.
That's awesome.
Like we could see it on the board, like on the computer screen. It was fun. It was way different than this kind of stuff where you're filming it ahead of time. But I just know, like, all right, I'm going to look at these cameras and we're just going to talk to those people like they're out there. Because you mentioned like you're not talking to the camera, you're talking to the world. You're talking to anybody watching.
Yeah.
You're not talking. So like right here, we're just talking to each other and just listening to my own voice speaking into the microphone.
Love hearing your voice, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks. One of the things that's really cool. We'll get back into the YouTube stuff maybe a little bit. Sure. But one of the things that I enjoyed that your Instagram was full of for a long time was the rollers. Mm-hmm. And I used to think like, and you see some of these videos on social media, like the videos where it's like the girl strapped into the back and she's hanging on the back of the truck. You're legit just driving and hanging your arm out of the car and just taking pictures.
So
the most illegal stuff.
Yeah, right. Literally,
you're communicating to the other car. So if people don't understand, it's please you explain it. It's your episode. Explain what a roller is.
So the rolling shot. This is a loaded question, a loaded answer. So
you got to dumb it down a little bit.
No, it's fine. Growing up, this stems back when I was young and where I got my inspiration from. Growing up, my dad would always bring home the new motor trends.
Yeah.
And he would always bring home the new motor trends. I would always watch the new episode of Top Gear, with Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, James May. The one thing about it is that whenever I watched these episodes, whenever I would look at these magazines, the photography, I was always like the one thing that stood out was the Blue Devil episode with Motor Trend. It was a C601, a blue C601 Corvette that they paired with a Blue Angel F-18 Hornet.
Oh wow, yeah.
And this was like, dude, this was like right when social media started. It's like nobody knew what this was. 2009. MySpace and YouTube was the only thing.
Yeah.
So like 2008, 2009, the only flow of content was YouTube, maybe MySpace, and like MTV, or if you had Top Gear on, which is Top Gear wasn't on cable. It was on demand.
Okay.
Or the extended channels. Whatever went past channel 99, whatever that is, TiVo,
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so the only flow of content was literally that. So backtrack a little bit. So growing up, I would always see like that, for example, and always be like, how do they do that? Like, how do they get the ZR1 rolling with F-18 in the background? I didn't know Photoshop existed then, come to find out it was heavily Photoshopped. But going into it, there's a lot of rolling shots now. There's a lot of rolling photos now and videos of cars rolling and stuff. The market have expanded. I'm very grateful for that. It's awesome to see. But again, back when I started, that didn't exist. Mm-hmm. Everything was rig shot. So I don't know where the camera's at. Is it this one right here on the left?
That's the full side, like all of us.
And this one's on
that one's yours.
Okay, so I'm over here. Okay, so there you go. So this is the car, for example. And for the longest time in the early 2000s, or even like literally probably the early 2000s, from like 2002 and onward, it was always a rig shot. So you take the car, and then you would I'll just use my finger, and on top of the roof would be a rig. And you would literally a metal rig strapped to the car, and then it would be extended down. You'd put a camera upside down, hanging. The car wouldn't be moving. You'd open your shutter to literally, I want to say probably 5 seconds, 10 seconds, not even 5. Let's say 5. Open the shutter for 5 seconds. Somebody else on the other side, and then just gently push the car. Mm-hmm. So like literally just, that's it. 5 seconds of open shutter, you keep your eye open. If you roll that for 5 seconds, that little slightly movement makes you look like you're going light speed in the Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
So that's how they did it. But I didn't know that at the time. I was 18.
Yeah.
I was 17. Oh, I don't need that. A rig shot, a rig back then was like $1,000.
Expensive.
My dad's like, I'm not fucking buying you that. You know, get out there and do it on your own. That was the one thing about my father that he always told me was, you know, get out there and learn it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to, I don't want to buy you something and cheat your way. Get out there and do it. Only come to find out that was actually the proper way, but I've developed a way where I actually had to learn how to do it. So fast forward a little bit, and I remember, and again, like the video you referenced, I know who that is. I haven't talked to that person. They're killing it. You know, she's crushing it on there. I've seen her page. Good for her. When I started, dude, there was none of that. So like I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
You're getting long-winded into this, and let me just explain it to them so they don't get totally lost in the sauce. What I meant when I asked you what a roller is you're going into the intellectual side of it.
Sorry.
Is a car in focus that's driving down the highway, like his style, driving down the highway. He takes a picture. The whole background around the car, blurry. Like he said, Millennium Falcon in light speed. Yes. So all the background is just going by, but that car is crystal clear, crisp, beautiful shot, frozen in time with nothing else in focus around him. So that's what I mean by a roller shot.
No, it's okay.
I was looking for that kind of just like when I said dumb it down, just give us that, give them that.
Giving you the whole spiel.
Dumb, you know, but the story's great. It's a cool story. So this is your progression of learning and what got you into the roller shots.
So to continue on that, now you guys know what a rolling shot is. So to continue that, the one thing able to achieve the high speed blur effect. So hopefully you'll pin some photos in this, probably.
Yeah, sure.
So you'll pin some photos in this? No. Go check out the stuff.
For reals.
The one thing is I always was obsessed with the blur, but I didn't want to make it too fake because this was before Photoshop even created the add blur effect.
Right, yeah. Nowadays, in the last year,
exactly.
You can make it up.
So I always wanted to achieve that high blur effect. So you're going to think I'm crazy for this, but I actually took a breathing technique class one time with somebody. It was back in 2016 before I got hired at Porsche. It was like 2016. It was like for like rifle training. You know how to properly just
because as we know with shooting rifles and snipers and stuff like that, you're going to have your breathing technique because your heart rate and your breathing changes where the rifle's going to go on the target. You need to time it appropriately.
So shout out to Donnie. I'll reach out to you. You live in Tampa now. You're married with kids, but he was actually the one that taught me how to do it.
Perfect.
I did about like 6 classes with him. He has a 964. Beautiful. You don't know what that is. No. Beautiful Porsche 964 wide body RWB. It's gorgeous. Anyway, he taught me how to do that.
Yeah.
And dude, and ever since then, I just always focused on, I do it while driving, which is heavily illegal. But I've just mastered it to the point where, I'm driving with my knee. I'm looking to my left. And I'm constantly, my head's always on a swivel.
Yeah.
But I've just been doing it now for 11 years that now it's just like my friends always say that if Kyle's texting while driving, which is horrible, don't ever text while drive. Don't ever be on your phone while you drive. But it was always just a joke like, if Kyle's photographing something or I trust Kyle driving with his knee on the wheel than his actual self. And that's just a joke my friend would say because of just 11 years of me just always scanning with my camera. And I'm just so naturally, this sounds very illegal. Don't do this. But it's just, and I just mean it very confidently that, I'm very blessed to say that, I've had accidents, but it wasn't my fault. Because, again, I'm always self-aware. Whenever I go out there doing rolling shots, for either photo, video, or anything at all, my number one rule is always safety.
Yeah.
Not only for myself, but for the car.
It's not during rush hour traffic.
Exactly. That's another good point. That's a very good point, Justin, was that I'll never do a rolling shot ever after like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Or after or before, or we're in daylight savings right now, so sun goes down at 6. I'll never do a rolling shot before 5:45.
Yeah.
Like it will always be at the peak of that sun coming up, or right when the sun's going down in the most rural, empty areas,
obscure area.
I'll never do it in a traffic area. And
or hooray for the express lanes on 595 these days. So thanks for having those.
I've express lanes 75.
Yeah.
That's 2 lanes, 75 express lane.
Yeah.
North or south, depending on where the sun's at. There's never a car there.
Yeah.
And so again, don't text and drive, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do it. But safety is my number one thing. And like, I'll share a story about one incident that happened.
Okay.
And it was, it was like my heart stopped because next month will be 11 years. And this happened 2 years ago.
Okay.
So like, I was like reaching this point where I've never had something happen.
Right.
This is scary. Now it's going to happen the most random of time with like $1 million car.
Yeah.
Like a Carrera GT. And I'm like, my buddy Omar and I, he's the owner of Velos Design Works, a company that I do business with. He was in a Ferrari F8 Tributo.
Okay.
Lowered on wheels, beautiful car. He was to the left of me. We were in Brickell, early morning, 7:30 in the morning, driving whatever, doing my thing, doing the rollers, whatever. Knocked the rollers out quick. You know, the Virgin Cruise Line was in the background. You know where the causeway is right there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, those are always great shots.
Yeah,
of course, that's like atypical Miami, South Beach.
Typically what these companies want, and they want the Miami effect.
Yeah.
So because the image sells.
Yeah.
So we were going, and I'm always looking ahead. Always. I will never turn my head and photograph a car if there's a biker in the bike lane or if there's a runner. Never. I'll never do it. I will always tell them on the phone because I'm always connected Bluetooth. I'll always say, hold on. And they know. I'm like, we have to be, I always tell them, I'm like, pay attention. Always be focused. It's only going to be 5-10 minutes. We're going to be doing it and we're done. I saw somebody on the other lane running. And I saw her and she was running against traffic. So she was all the way on the other side. But there was no cars coming. And we were going slow, 10 miles an hour. That's all I really need. And all of a sudden, I'm going. I see her go to the other lane, runs across the street into my lane, to my side. Yeah. I saw her. I'm good. Run. Do. I look over. She jumps off of the sidewalk over the bike lane into my lane of traffic. And again, my head's always on a swivel. I saw it. Braked really hard. Turned left, and my rearview mirror nicked her. And I saw it happen. I saw it all happen, and my world's ending crushed. I'm like, no, it just happened. It just happened. And whenever it comes to failure or mess ups, I will always take up front whatever the quickest resolution is, own up to it, whatever. Pulled off to the side. She was crying and stuff, and I ran over to her. I'm like, are you okay? Blah, 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 blah. And she flat out admitted it. She goes, I just darted off.
Like, what the hell was she doing? Chasing a rabbit or something like that?
No, she just said she was listening to music, and she just darted off because there was somebody in front of her. And there was. Yeah. There was a lady with a stroller, and she just darted off into the road to run around. I'm like, you didn't even look back. She goes, I know. I'm so sorry. And I extended my offer. I was like, what can I do to help? This is horrible. She goes, no, it's okay. I was like, it's not okay. Your elbow's swelling up. She goes, no, it's okay. My dog just died. My grandmother just passed away. Like trauma dumping on me. I'm like, God bless you. Now I'm overextended. I'm like, anything I can do to help you. Like now, like this is like God's giving me the role to help you now. Yeah. She's like, no, it's okay. And then she just is like, trust me, it's okay. I'm so sorry about your mirror. Do you want me to pay for it? I go, no, I'll handle it.
It's the least of my worries.
And on the other side, my buddy Omar's in this Ferrari. And he's on the phone still with me via Bluetooth. So he's listening to all this. And he was just like, dude, you handled that incredibly. I'm like, and we have the running joke. I mean, you live in South Florida. South Florida people aren't really, they're on the spectrum.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Crazy. Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get in South Florida. So that was the last incident that I had, but sorry for the little rant, little story.
No, and that's scary. And I know just looking around, I mean, I did it the other day. I bumped into the back of somebody in my work car. Because I looked down to log out of the computer and traffic was backed up way further than it should have been. And the road was slick and I slammed on the brakes and slid 15 feet and just doop, right into the back of them. And thankfully no airbags. So nobody was hurt and everything. But it happens, 20 years, 3 accidents, 2 my fault. So where have you... And where have you traveled for cars and photography? Because I'm going to lump them together because it's kind of really what you do. It's not like you've traveled to do a wedding or something like that. Where have you traveled and what's the coolest place and what would be a bucket list? If somebody called you, you'd cancel all my plans for a week.
It's actually just happened a week ago. Okay, so I'll share the news directly with you guys. The best one I've had. Wow. So my favorite shoot and then my dream shoot.
Yeah.
So that's like asking
for travel.
That's like asking a baseball player what his favorite hit was.
Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff.
What's your ball you've thrown?
Nobody's really fact checking you, so you can just give something if you want.
That I've traveled to. So I'll give you 3 answers. When I first started, my travel was very limited. I was young. I didn't have all the money in the world.
Right.
I got to drive to Aventura, and my good family friend, good client of mine, Chris, and his father Enzo.
Okay.
Very successful individual, great people, great family. They used to have a LaFerrari coupe, and then a LaFerrari Aperta.
I'm going to make you just send me all the pictures of all the cars that you're talking about just to make it easier because I don't even know.
So the LaFerrari coupe is a 1,000 horsepower V12 hybrid.
Okay.
That came out in 2015. Don't quote me, everybody. 2015, it came out.
Feel free to talk shit in the comments if you want.
$2 million car.
Yeah.
And you know Ferraris.
Yeah.
The rare Ferraris are worth all the money in the world. They're worth the price of this city.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is about Ferrari, about every car company, Ferrari mainly, is that every single Ferrari convertible will always be worth more than the coupe. Because drop-top Ferraris, just internationally, are more desirable.
Yeah.
From a 458 Italia Spider to a 488 Spider to a 360 Modena to a 430 Scuderia. You know, the Spider versions, they didn't make a Spider Scuderia. Anyway, the Spider version will always be worth significantly more. Mm-hmm. So when Ferrari announced the LaFerrari, it's not called a Spider, it's called an Aperta, because the mechanism doesn't work. You have to manually take the top off. Oh. That car was worth a lot, and it was very hard to get. So when I met Chris, I've shot with him multiple times. He daily drives an M4 at the time. He goes, "Hey, you want to shoot the LaFerraris?" And I go,
"Do I ever?"
It was my birthday. I was turning like 22.
Yeah.
23, and drove there, and I'm 6'4". You guys probably seen my videos. I hate Lamborghinis because there's no room for us tall people in there.
They're this high off the ground.
They're meant for little Italian guys.
Yeah.
So the one thing about Ferrari is that there's always room in them. But the LaFerrari was different. They designed it because the thing looks like a bullet. It's meant to just boom on a track. There's no room in the coupe. So he gave me the keys to the Aperta. And I got to drive the LaFerrari Aperta. He got to drive the coupe. And I remember I took the top off. And I had no idea anything about the value at the time. Because for me, okay, cool, car's worth a lot of money, that's cool. To me, I don't view it as that. Because if you start driving a car, viewing it with how much it's worth, you're going to crash it.
Yeah.
So one thing I always tell myself. So he's like, "Do you want to know how much it's worth?" I go, "Not yet. Wait till we're done." He ended up telling me that both cars combined was about, I would say, dude, it's about $5 million total.
Holy
about $5-6 million total. Jeez. And that was at the time.
Yeah.
Today, it'd probably be worth about 10.
Yeah.
So I got to drive the Aperta. And I had one video and one photo of it. So I have one video of me driving it, and then one photo of me standing in front of both of them together. And it was cool. Both matching red.
So that was like your tip top.
That was my favorite one here. And then, again, hate to stretch this. I'll wrap it up quick on that question.
Yeah, we got time.
Extending it out, the best one that I got to travel to. Damn. Justin, that's a good one. I've been to probably almost every state here except for anywhere in the Midwest because cars don't really exist over there.
Yeah, it's just trucks.
I do travel to California, 2-3 months out of the year. The car industry is huge over there.
Yeah.
My favorite one out there, I got to shoot a very rare car, which is nothing too European, Italian, German. It was actually an American car. Mm-hmm. Shout out to my buddy Jose Guggenheim. He's a Hispanic German.
Okay.
Jose Guggenheim.
Yeah, I know. See, that's a real name.
He's from Chile, Hispanic, but German descent.
Yeah. There's a lot of Germans that went over to South America after the war.
Met him, great, successful man. He has a place in I don't want to say where in California, but very reputable area. He had a one-of-one cream white, beige cream sand white Dodge Viper ACR.
Viper?
Like Wes's.
Yeah.
But it was a cream white. And it was the only one in the entire world. And I'm over here like, okay, it could be wrapped. It could be painted.
Yeah.
I'm so used to
and
South Florida.
That's factory.
They jazz you up to make you seem like you're shooting something with insane amount of exclusivity. Mm-hmm. But come to find out it was painted or wrapped.
Yeah.
This thing had documentation from Dodge. It was a one-off cream beige, sand cream beige, whatever.
Wow.
It was like a color of a manila folder.
Right. Yeah.
But add an insane amount of gloss and paint and cream tone on that. Dodge Viper ACR, and I was like,
my old lieutenant's owned like 3 Vipers. Like he buys them, has them for a while, and then sells them, and then he gets an itch and he buys another one, and then he sells them.
So I got to shoot that, and that was probably one of my most successful photo sets on the internet.
Really?
Being that one. It was a Dodge Viper, and everybody knows me for working for Porsche.
For supercars.
And everybody's like, nope, Viper.
Wow. Hey.
And to wrap it up with the third one about what's to come, and my dream would be cherry blossom, tree, valley, alley, road, Mount Fuji, whatever, in the background, Nissan GTR. Because growing up,
so Japanese.
The R34, like still to this day, growing up, the R34 GTR, I've driven so many from the N specs to the V specs. I've driven them all. But growing up, it was just always just the R35, the R34 Skyline. And then the R35 never took place of that. It was actually the Lexus LFA that took place of that.
Okay.
So growing up, the R34 Skyline was my thing, but then it was the Lexus LFA that actually took like my dream, which was the very rare 2009 $375,000 Lexus supercar that they made.
Mm-hmm.
You know what was going on in 2009? World wasn't really doing its best in 2008, 2009.
Oh, right.
So for Lexus to drop a $400,000 car,
Right.
nobody bought it.
Yeah.
Zero. Nobody bought it. And still to this day, it's one of the rarest cars because every single one on Bring a Trailer or anything, a car going for, you know, $850 to $1 million. And I still to this day, I've never seen one. So anybody that knows one, hit my line.
Yeah.
So I want to drive one. I want to see one.
So shoot that with cherry blossoms, Mount Fuji, somewhere in Japan.
Somewhere in Japan that's like, or even Japan nightlife because the architectural
What if
appearance is beautiful.
What if you had to compromise and you could do it in like Washington D.C. during the Cherry Blossom Festival?
Then nobody would know nobody knows it's in Japan. I'll just tag it that it's in Japan.
Yeah, just do some cherry blossoms and it's.
You get some dickhead that'll be like, "Yo, that's my backyard."
Yeah, the guy happens to own it and he lives in like Annapolis, Maryland, or something like that.
So I shot a GT3 recently in Dana Point, California, and I did a whole set of cars in Dana Point, but I accidentally tagged Laguna Niguel. I was like, "Oh, nobody would know." And then the guy that owns the house found the photo, so I guess it popped up on his thing.
Yeah.
And he commented on the photo. He goes, "That's Dana Point, idiot." I'm like, here's me at 5 o'clock traffic, like sitting here in Fort Lauderdale, like, this guy just called me an idiot from California.
My bad, dude. My bad.
Whatever.
My bad.
Who cares?
All right, we'll cut that for now and we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
So that's why I built InkMD, to address a niche, a very real need for medical grade wound care for real wounds. Tattoos are real wounds. I don't understand why we continue to treat them differently. Nobody's bridged that gap yet. We're talking about relatively superficial trauma to the skin. The quicker it heals, the better. Especially with tattoos, because the amount of ink that's retained in your skin is dependent on that healing process. Real science, real medicine, with a very ancient and very personal art form.
Jump over inkmd.com and use DSP15 when you want to make a purchase. All right, we're back. I'm going to go to the wide angle shot for that. All right, so we mentioned earlier the YouTube vlogs. You're doing that now where you're, going out. So instead of early in your career where you were just going out and you were maybe missing out on an opportunity for content that you're able to do now with these vlogs where you're talking about what you're doing, where you're going, and almost a little bit of a behind the scenes of, hey, here's some amazing photos. I would have liked to have seen in the recent McLaren one, some of those amazing photos dropped in there.
You get a lot of people that ask me, I gotta start doing that.
Just a quick snap, like you can tell you're probably taking photos while you're doing this video, like the flames, like he's got this McLaren that they're doing some pedal tricks and stuff with some engine stuff. And again, I'm showing how much of an idiot I am with all this stuff, and it's fine because we're allowed to be idiots and I can't know everything. But he's the guy's popping these flames, these Batman style flames out the back of this McLaren, and it's freaking dope. And they're just doing it on a little, 4-lane road out in Naples or whatever.
It was 75 South.
Yeah.
Before Alligator Alley.
Well, there was the one where you were doing it on the median. There was a median in there. So
yeah,
that was like a neighborhood.
That's when we were leaving his neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he was just warming up the car, as he said. And
but
it's okay.
But it's what you were using.
Yeah.
And he was getting some good flames there. So it was cool. It was cool in the vlogs. But so as I was mentioning, like, you started with the photography and you've got just stills of cars, awesome stills, all that kind of stuff. And then there's opportunity now. There's all these cool new machines, these vlogging cameras. You're using the DJI Pocket 3 and stuff to shoot, and it makes it so easy and it gives it such a professional look. How's that worked out for you? Have you found it fun? And does it inspire you? And then how would you use that to like explain to somebody that maybe loses the ability to make content or the interest to make content?
It's a good question, Justin. It's a really good question.
Worked on that one.
I'm very happy that I was able to pick up the camera. I started my YouTube channel in March, so I'm very happy that...
Yeah, it's still really young, but it's gotten a great following to it.
Thank you. I'm very happy with that. Thank you. It was nice to be able to pick it up in March and to learn everything because I just, now going on to my 11th year, I told myself on my 10th year, being this year, that I wanted to start the YouTube channel, and I wanted to challenge myself because in this industry, it's so easy to have, ego strokers or, be comfortable behind the wheel, have the sail down and coast on the water.
Yeah.
And I can never sit still. I always want to keep doing more and more and more. And, again, shout out to my dad. It was always, okay, you're here. But, mankind was always, okay, what's beyond the fence? What's over the hedge? What's beyond the mountain? Keep it extending, keep going. And now with the people that I've met in my life now, it's crazy when you weed out all those other people that don't have that same mindset, how much it attracts other people that have that mindset. So, I've learned from somebody recently, like my friend Dom, very successful man, every day be useful. He got that from somewhere. I don't know where. But, every day be useful, be better, give better, learn more, do something that makes you go, wow, that's sick, and then show it to the world. So to answer your question, I'm very happy that I was able to start it. It was very difficult to start it up front. I'm very happy where I am now. It's awesome to video now because now it's a whole nother world. Videography is a whole nother world compared to photography. Yeah. Shooting S-Log, D-Log, color grading, getting the right audio, having mic, having a sound canceller on, having a wind deflector, having, doing that. I'm over here with photography. I'm like, damn, when I started shooting raw and color grading, and I only edit in Photoshop. So I'm like, I thought only Photoshop, shooting raw, color grading, compiling, 5 photos into one was hard. Now you're throwing in videography, which is a whole other world. Yeah,
timing, shutter speed, all
add in SD cards, add in RAM, add in graphics card, add in rendering, adding in the memes of blowing up your PC from rendering a 4K 15-minute long video, color graded. Your fans sound like Toyota Supra turbos. Whatever.
Yeah. I've been through laptops. Not blowing them up, but I've been through them where I'm like, all right, this isn't working anymore.
This is melting.
This is pulling. It's too much work, especially with editing these podcasts and stuff. It takes a big edit. So I've moved up to a Mac Studio now, where I'm back on
Mac Studio is the best.
I'm back on a desktop now. I don't have a laptop. I've got the 34-inch wide curved screen, so I can make my timeline for these videos and stuff. Full size screen and everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, that Studios are one of the best.
Yeah, you have that. You have to have a big computing power. It's a little slow, but it takes a longer render time for me, but I'm able to do so much more other stuff. I can just minimize it and now work on photos, and I can do raw color graded photos while still rendering a 1080 podcast that's an hour and a half long. Yeah. So the computer's able to multitask a lot better. But yeah, so it's fun and it's challenging.
Yeah, because right now it's just getting to that point of I'm going to sound like a psychopath saying this, but I'm just so addicted to the creative challenge now, still going on to my 11th year, that whenever I think of either like the flame shots, right, I always am chasing, some psychological person's gonna watch it. It's like, oh, he's chasing the dopamine in the mind. Sure. Yeah. I'm just chasing that constant being better, and I'm just focused on that creative challenge that makes me nervous, because I always feel like me going into a job with a car that I've never driven, or a car that I never shot, or meeting somebody that I never met before, I have to cover so much from making sure they're comfortable breaking the ice, allowing me to have full creative control of what they brought me on here to do for photo, video. A lot of my work is with companies, a lot of wheel companies, a lot of carbon fiber companies. I just did a big thing out in California with a carbon fiber company known as 1016. They have full, they invest, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the R&D of carbon fiber performance aero kits for these cars, these supercars that, and they, they hired me to photo and video this, when I go and they just hand me the key and they say, okay, be back in 2 hours. Yeah. We want insane stuff. Sometimes I like that. It's a little nervous, because they're expecting a lot from me. But in a way, I'm like, I got this. Yeah. Like, I know I got this. But then there's sometimes, where I miss. And I do my best to, to always have a plan B, always have a plan C, So now it's just going on to my 11th year is just, I just always love that creative challenge. And to answer that last part of your question about, those that, that lack the motivation or, that want to get into photography, because I've seen so many people that have come up, have great creative minds, but it dies because they think the work's going to come to them. And I'm very blessed to say that I get work opportunity because I just love what I do.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I tell them all, that I meet everybody still to this day, I come across people from around the country, from my travels, from car shows to meeting them with Porsche, to everything. And I always tell them the same thing. I'm like, if you don't love what you do, you're not obsessed with it, you're not going to get anywhere. And the one thing that I'll happily admit is that I'm addicted to it. I'm literally addicted to what I do every single day. That every day I wake up and I have lost friends, relationships, because I am just so in love with what I do for a living that, not in a bad way like how it used to be, like now it's very tolerable, but I'm just so in love with what I do that I just love working with these companies. I don't want to name them all. There's a lot that I do business with, and all they have to do is what I just love is that, like, they're just like, here's the car.
Yeah.
Do you?
We trust you.
And it's to that point where I know what that means.
Yeah.
And then it just allows my mind to open freely and just do cool shit.
That's
Because
awesome.
my main focus is every day is it just what I tell other people is, they're like, oh, I just did this, but this isn't performing well. Or I just did this, but, I don't like it. Or I just did this. And I'm like, why are you putting it out there? Always, work at it every day, but only put out stuff that makes you go, wow. Because that's ultimately, I know what these other people expect from me, but what they expect from me is to put out something that I like. And that's what I love every day, is that my main goal is to just put out something that makes me happy and makes me go, oh, this is sick.
Right.
I want to show the world this.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, it's an art. A lot of people create for the minds of others, but that's, again, like what we said in the beginning, everybody's mind and eye is subjective and it's different. If I make it for myself, I'm like, I make it for myself. Okay, I'm going to make it for myself. I love this. I'm going to show the world. And honestly, and if anybody has anything negative to say about it, I don't really give a shit.
Right. So, okay. So yeah, as long as it's something that you love and you love what you've done, then it is what it is. It's your creativity, and it's up to the viewer to decide if they like it or not. And if they don't like it, then move on, but enough people.
But there's a limit to that answer though. Like, so to a limit to like, okay, I'm going to make what I want to make and F off. Like, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it as in like, take in the constructive criticism from others. Okay, do this, further better yourself for the creative challenge of improving and getting better, taking in what everybody wants from you. But ultimately, harness all that, bring it in and really go, okay, I'm going to use all these to make my work better. So I could be like, wow, this is awesome. If you start overextending and you start doing things for the comfort of others, and you're like, I don't really like that. That's what you already made.
Well, yeah, you're going to falter in your professionalism and in your experience, and it's going to transmit, because it's an art. It's going to transmit into the art, and ultimately, people are going to see probably a difference or pick up a difference in it. So, if you're trying to change what you're doing or impress each and every person, and by varying and changing your style, I think it ends up pulling away from your style, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
so.
Literally, like growing up, I remember I was like a kid, and that was another shout out to my dad, was like, I'm a lefty at everything that I do. And I played sports growing up. And I remember one time this coach was like, oh, you have to throw righty. You'll be better. Yeah. No, you won't.
That's an odd statement, because if you're naturally a lefty and there's such a scarcity of lefty in sports, that they always the left-handed pitchers
throw right, pitch right, be like amongst like everybody else. And I was like 12 years old, and I remember my dad was like, no. Yeah. Like, no. And if you just, who says a lefty can't do that? Yeah. Or who says, okay, a righty shooter can only shoot 50, 75 yards because he's a righty. Oh, a lefty can't do that. What? Totally. So somewhere around that ballpark, but yeah. So
brand new Donut Shop podcast hats. Excited to bring them to you. Very excited for the work that went into them. They're super cool. They have this PVC patch on the front, stitched on, Donut Shop podcast logo, a nice blue line snapback. It's got this laser mesh on the outside. Comes in black. Sweet baseball cap. You can wear it flat bill, curved, whatever you want to do. Oh, and the inside is nice and soft for those sweaty Florida days or wherever you are. You can get these hats. I'll ship them out, $35 shipped, just hit me up in the DMs. Let me know. If you're international, we can work something out on shipments. I also have these patches in just the patch with a Velcro back. So those are $12 shipped. Thank you very much, everybody, for the support. Real excited to see these hats out in the wild. See you later. All right, we'll wrap it up with one last question. I think it's going to be a deep one for you, and I think he's going to tell me something that I've probably never heard of, but we'll see.
Let's hear it.
What is I have an or in the question, but I'm just going to say, what is the most insane car to you that like you've seen? Let's say seen. I'm not going to go bucket list because that you could make something up, but something that you've seen and touched. And I mean, I know you mentioned the Ferraris, that was your shoot. So I mean, I guess that kind of works with that. But is there something else that's probably like the most like?
So the first thing that comes to mind,
the pearly gates opened and this car showed up out on the road for you to work on.
So the first thing that came to mind was a car, but then also something that I did.
Okay.
With another car.
Oh, geez.
Because it's like something I could happily say. Because both of these, to answer your question, is like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, but then also was like something I got to say that I got to do that nobody else has done.
Okay.
So probably the first time I got to see a Bugatti.
Okay.
Up close. So I've always seen, again, back to what I was saying about growing up and watching Top Gear, was like the big thing about Top Gear back then was when the Bugatti Veyron raced the Eurofighter on Top Gear.
Okay.
And then when was it James May? When James May did the Bugatti Veyron Super Sport and went 256 miles an hour. And at the time, that was the world's fastest car. You know, obviously now the Chiron Super Sport went 300 miles. Oh no, 290, whatever. Don't quote me. But went sub 300. Or maybe even over. Who knows?
Add him in the DMs and on the comments.
So, again, but back then, 250 plus miles an hour, that was insane.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that, and that was so fast. So, again, this two parts answer because one involves going really fast, another one is the Bugatti. So, I shot a Bugatti Chiron on HRE wheels about a year ago.
Okay.
And the car pulled up. I've never seen a Bugatti up close. I've only ever seen it in videos or somebody over in Dubai or Chris Harris testing the Chiron, top speed on Dubai, Arab Emirates, whatever airlines runway.
Right.
It's the only place where you could top a Chiron, and he did that, and I thought it was beautiful. So when I saw that Bugatti show up, we're so used to our single stage paint or our base coat clear style paint jobs, a clear coat or a single stage paint job or a regular. Dude, when this Bugatti pulled up, I was like, probably one of the most beautiful cars I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's going to sound it's because it's a Bugatti, or a Pagani's better, or a Koenigsegg better. Fair, probably is. I've seen them. But just in that moment, that dusk sun and an all pearl white Bugatti Chiron pulled up, and just to see a W16 quad turbo motor running, that it was put together by a human and maybe assisted by a robot.
Yeah.
Just to know that I don't want to say schlep, but some bozo, some nerd out in Europe put that together. And now here it is in Boca Raton, Florida, in front of me, with 1,400 horsepower capability, 1,200 horsepower capability. I'm like, this is a marveling machine.
What were you doing? Were you driving or were you?
No, so this was just strictly photo.
Was this when this you were? This was a wheel you weren't company. Like a valet or something like that.
No. This was just a strictly a photo job for HRE wheels.
Okay.
So HRE is based in California, Orange County, and they reached out saying, hey, we have this car, we'll pay you to X, Y, and Z, set it up. Here's the owner's contact. Set it up, did our thing, but just seeing it. And those that have seen a Bugatti Chiron, the headlights are all eyes. Mm-hmm. It's an eye like this. But when you unlock the car, everyone goes out together, and then they all strip, and then they all close. It's just a beautiful...
Yeah.
It's just so hard to describe it on here. It's just to know that somebody coded that, that somebody painted this, designed this, built this, that now I know why. It was right then and there. I got to see the car and I went, okay, now I know why Bugattis are $1 million plus. Now I know why every rendition of this car, like a Lamborghini Aventador, they make 8 different models of the same body. Lamborghini did that with the Aventador. They made like 8 different versions of the same car. Bugatti did the same thing with the Chiron before they said see ya, and now they're working on the Tourbillon, which you probably don't know what that is.
Nope.
They're working on the Tourbillon now, But again, the Veyron had multiple different versions, and then the Chiron had multiple different versions. So
It just sounds like you're talking about dragons from
I know Tourbillon, Chiron, Veyron.
Yeah, you're talking about
Yeah.
you're talking about dragons from like King of Dragons or whatever.
So that was probably the most insane car I've ever seen up close. I got to see and experience and everything. But then the most insane opportunity was honestly when I first. There's two. No, it's one. I've done so many cool things, from driving twin turbo R8s to Huracans in the valleys of California to drifting the coolest of cars like an 812 super fast roasting tire recently of an 812 super fast GTS. Like, I love doing burnouts and driving and stunt driving. You know, I get that from Paul Walker and Ken Block growing up. So my alter ego is, I call myself a pro tire slayer. I've been given that title from people.
Tire slayer?
Pro tire slayer, even though I'm not a pro drifter or anything. You've seen the videos of me just having fun, and I get paid to just have fun, and I'm very blessed.
And I've seen the handiwork.
Yeah.
After on the roads.
So my parents know about this. So I don't know if they'll probably reach the end of this. They'll probably watch the first 20 minutes and be like, I went to sleep. So they know about this. But when I first started, I was in high school, and my rich friend, his name's Bulo. He watched this because now his family all knows about this. I'm going to laugh about it. His dad was out of town, and his dad was rich.
Yeah.
You know, his dad was awesome. You know, big shout out to Bulo Senior. He was out of town, and it's like a typical bro story. This is your typical boy story. Dad's out of town. Bulo grabs his 997 GT3 Porsche. It was a Porsche GT3 997 6-speed, and he picked me up. He goes, "Kyle, I have my dad's Porsche. You know, come on, it's like a movie. Kyle, I have my dad's Porsche. Let's go have fun."
Yeah.
Sure. And Bulo has incredible track experience. Still to this day, he's an incredible MotoGP motorcycle racer, track driver. You know, that's like stunt. That's like level of driving experience that, you know, you have to train for. He had that growing up. He sells insurance now. Anyway, so very talented young man. He picked me up. You know, we were young, dumb, you know, 17, 18 years old. Yeah. And he picked me up. He goes, you know, let's go shoot the GT3, you know, blow the tires off and everything. We're like, does your dad know about this? No. You know, we laughed about it. Anyway, I remember he made a right on US 27 North. This was 11 years ago, everybody, so relax. Made a right on US 27, and I thought we were just going to go, you know, 100 miles an hour. I don't know if this dude was like going through a breakup or something. He didn't tell me. We ended up going 198 miles an hour. Jesus. And I have a video. I'm not showing it to you. Yeah. But I still have a video to this day because I mounted my camera over his shoulder. And incredible driver. Going from second, third, fourth, fifth to sixth. You know, you're going from fifth to sixth. You're at like 180. Jeez. Going from fifth to sixth gear. Yeah. For anybody that knows cars, to go from, you know, fourth to fifth at 160, 170 miles an hour, to shift from fifth to sixth, to do that, that's insane. And this guy is doing this borderline flat foot race car.
You guys would have
manual.
You guys would have been vaporized if an alligator was walking across the road.
And all I remember is the story that I tell to this day is that I've never hit the 200 mile an hour club. I was borderline there, which is okay. I don't want to go to 200 miles unless I'm on a professional drag course with a Bugatti, which is meant to go that fast. A GT3 was only meant to go like 150 around a track. So I remember going so fast. I saw at the time the big car, family car back then was a Hyundai Sonata. It was like right when it came out. So everybody had one. I remember sitting on the other side of the road. It was a Hyundai Sonata. And I remember I blinked and the car was gone.
Gone.
We were going so fast that the best video, I hate to bring it back up again, was watching Top Gear. And they said that when you're going, you know, this fast, you know, wind is as thick as a donut. When you're going 150, 160, wind is as thick as like a Christmas fruitcake. When then they're like, when you're going 200, wind is as thick as a brick. And one little little fuck up, and you're toast. Yeah. And I remember we were going so fast, I felt literally like I was like wide and planted. I felt that in my body, like because the Porsche's downforce was so incredible. Yeah. That this was a 997, and if there's car guys that are watching this, you know, this is a 2011, 2010, 2011 GT3. You know, to us, oh, that's dated. You know, we're in 2024 going into 2025. So the capabilities of these new cars are incredible, but to hop in that and to know that the engineering was incredible back then.
Still, yeah.
Dude, we just felt planted and just wide and just on the ground. Like in the video, we were going 195 and he takes his hand off the wheel and he's just driving with one hand. And still to this day, it makes me reference Chris Harris, where he looks at the camera and he goes, and you call that engineering?
Yeah.
And he goes, and this is why you don't make fun of the nerds in math class.
Yeah.
Because you piss them off, and then they make stuff like this. And so, good story. You know, there's a lot of other stories, obviously, you know, doing GT500 burnouts in Pennsylvania to drifting cars. But, yeah, that was a marveling genius. And since then, I didn't know I was going to work for Porsche. So, like, I was, like, embedded in that moment. And then a few years later, and now here I am. I've been working for Porsche for 8 years now.
Why are Porsche drivers usually assholes?
That's a really good question. Usually it's BMW or Nissan Altima drivers.
That reminds me of another question. Do you have an answer for Porsche?
Yes and no. I just know that there's two type of Porsche owners: the enthusiasts that are mature, grown adults, and that know the capability of the cars and know that they're only meant for exit ramps on a highway or a track. Yeah. You know, you don't see them hauling ass or whatever. And then there's the other people that think their cars are Ferrari and Lamborghinis and rev it because of the flat six, the 4-liter flat six NA, and they just are total D-bags. We don't welcome those people.
That guy came up behind me the other day around Vista View Park on the little curvy, the only curvy area in South Florida that you can drive. That kind of feels a little
shotgun,
bit like,
right?
Yeah, shotgun.
Yep.
He came up in his yellow Porsche, appeared out of nowhere, and I was just driving, appeared out of nowhere, blew past me when he got onto orange, whipped around on the bridge because he was going over to the Porsche dealership. Yeah. Whipped around, got stuck in traffic, and I ended up right next to him. And I'm just like, fucking douchebag. You know, it's just unnecessary. You're like literally in a suburban street. Yeah. Like unnecessary to be driving like that just because you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways.
We don't welcome those people in the group.
Good.
You get lost.
One last thing that I thought about earlier when you were mentioning it. Recent news of what was it? Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi merging. You mentioned Japanese cars, and you know
I read that
they've got some history or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying you know anything about the business side of
a little
car
bit.
making,
I know a lot of people that are involved in the business side of things. I actually know one of the head guys at Nissan, so. I want to say his name. I'm not going to say his name. We'll talk about that off camera. But I know the blank and blank. I'm totally going to send this to him. So don't be mad at me. But I'm not surprised by it because Honda's crushing it. I think Toyota, in terms of the Japanese domestic market, which is what JDM means, I think in the JDM world, I think Toyota and Honda are killing it. Mm-hmm. Honda always have. You know, the Civic and the Accord. Yeah. Those cars alone, Honda doesn't need any other car. If they just made a Civic and an Accord for the rest of their lives, they'll be set.
2 cars done.
But the fact that they have all these other cars, from the Pilot to the CR-V to everything, you know, these are the Type R, which is a great entry level tuner car. Even to somebody that can't afford a Porsche, you know, Type R is a phenomenal car. A Civic Type R is one of my favorite cars I've ever driven. I'm more of a Toyota fan. You know, I've had a GR Corolla, I've had a Supra, I have my daily driver when I don't have my Porsche. I daily drive the new Prius. Mm-hmm. Like. I've always had a Toyota in the family. My father has a Tundra. My sister had a Corolla. I think Toyota's crushing it. But to answer your question, I'm not surprised that Nissan announced their bankruptcy and given, 13 months, I think they said? 13, like 14 months? I'm not surprised because, now this is a loaded question and a loaded answer because I'm big in the industry. I'm always self-aware of all this. Is that I love Toyota because of how much they've grown, changed, and developed to adjust to modern times. Honda too. Honda's crushing it. When you look at a Nissan Altima, what happened to the Maxima? What happened to the Nissan Titan? When you look at the Altima still looks the exact same interior that it had 10 years ago. Yeah. Okay, the visually outside it looked different, but never adjusted to the modern times. And they ran when they shut down the 350Z and then the 370Z and then they shut it down to when the new Z came out. Okay, that's a sports car. No automobile company can run on just its sports car alone. Not a single one. Name one. You can't. Yeah. Unless it's Lamborghini and Ferrari, but that's not your average consumer car. Somebody might argue, okay, Ford. Ford has the F-150. You know, that's why they axed everything except the Mustang. Mm-hmm. You know what happened to Chevy? They axed the Camaro. You know, they're only selling trucks. They're only selling trucks, the Tahoe, and then the Corvette. Mm-hmm. The Corvette's killing it.
Yeah, it's a Corvette.
You get a rear engine. It's a Corvette. It's a 100-year bloodline right there. What happened to Dodge? Yeah. Charger 392 Hellcat, gone. They went full EV. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say anything. Yeah. But I'm really good friends with the guys at Dodge. They use my photos for their training, for their techs. I have a photo of me and my 2 Dodges. Love my 392, love my Hellcat. They went full EV. I think they're getting a lot of hate still to this day. Every one of their Instagram posts. Every one of their Facebook
Oh yeah,
posts.
getting destroyed.
Horrible. So anyway, to answer your question, the whole Nissan merger thing, I'm not surprised because, again, outside of the Z, I failed to mention the cream of the flagship of them all, the Nissan GTR. The R35 GTR has looked the exact same for the last 10 plus years of its run. It came out in 2009. Here we are in 2025 when they announced that it's done. That entirety of its life, if you take a 2009 and put it up to a 2025 T-Spec, or the last edition, the new Bayside Blue, beautiful car. If you put them next to each other, us car guys will be able to tell the difference. But if I put it next to you or some random person in this shop, they'll be like, they look the exact same. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the Chargers, if you look at a Porsche went through 3 generations of the 911 throughout the entirety of the Nissan GTR. They went through the all 997, all 991, and now they're going on the 992 2.2, which is the end of its 3rd generational life term by the time Nissan ended its single production of the R35 generation. You could quote that.
Okay.
That's crazy. Lamborghini, the Aventador, had its whole bloodline of 2012 of the Aventador. The entirety of the Aventador was done. And now here we are at the Revelto. Here we are at that.
Yeah.
GTR still here.
Yeah.
Look at Ferrari. The F430 Scuderia was an 08. They went through the 458 Italia, the 488 Pista, my favorite Ferrari of all time, all the way up to where we are now, the F8 Tributo to the 296 GTV. They went through 5 generations of 2-door coupe sports cars. The Nissan GTR is still here. Look at the Corvette. The 08 Corvette was a C6. 09 Corvette was a C6. They went through the C7, the C8. That was 2 generations of Corvettes. Nissan GTR is still here. So when Nissan announced that they were doing that, I was like, they had it coming.
Yeah.
They axed the Titan.
They'd kind of given up.
Remember the Titan?
Yeah.
Titan was huge.
Yeah.
Now, excuse my ignorance, the Titan could still be around. I don't know. I don't pay attention to it. I think they do make it with a turbo diesel in it, which is a GM or a Dodge Cummins motor in it. So I think they get their motor from Dodge. Correct my ignorance. But for real, drive by your next Nissan. What happened to the Leaf? What happened to the Pathfinder? You know, all these cars are still there, but they're so dated. When was the last time you bought a brand new Infiniti? Infiniti, Nissan, same person.
Yeah. My one of my buddies loves those Infinity crossovers or whatever, but I think he switched over to a Raptor. He dropped that to get a Raptor.
Infiniti had a great thing going for them when they announced the Q50.
Yeah, the Q50s. Yeah,
2015 Q50, the Q50S.
Yeah.
Sub 400 horsepower V6.
Right.
And then they came out with the Redline, twin turbo, little baby GTR motor.
Almost like Japanese Porsche Cayenne.
Crushed it.
But
when Nissan announced it, it's only a matter of time. I'm like, you guys saw it coming.
Yeah.
Toyota, dude. When you look at Toyota and Honda, how many times have they, quote me on this, how many times has the Nissan Altima or the GTR been updated from 09 to 2025 versus the Honda Civic?
I think
Honda Civic went through like 8 generational changes. How about the Altima? 3?
Yeah.
So I'm not ripping.
You still really only see the 2012 Altima driving around, but that's just because we're in the hood. And that's what I'm talking about. But my cop, just to bring, if there's any cops still watching, that's what we're talking about. Those Nissan Altimas. We know what's up with them. Yep. But
so I'm not surprised. And then Mitsubishi again. If it wasn't for the Evo, who's Mitsubishi?
Hey man, my first truck was a Mitsubishi Mighty Max.
And what happened to it?
It was a 20-year-old truck.
Why'd you get rid of it?
1980, because I crashed it.
Oh, would you buy another one?
No,
exactly.
I mean, at this point, my Mitsubishi Mighty Max it had the front end, but it's almost like those little diaper trucks that you see driving around. That's a big thing. I took a picture and sent it to Billy and Joe the other day or yesterday, because it's just everybody's importing those and rocking them.
You're on the road, so you probably see some cool stuff throughout the day. Maybe maybe not your average consumer Honda Civic or whatever.
My big thing is I'm hunting wrapped license plates now. That's
really?
I'm hunting those wrapped license plates.
Okay. Yeah. The one that reflect off of the cameras?
No. Just people. There was an Instagram guy recently that it was like targeted ads and stuff like that, and then they just wrap it, the license plate, so you could make like California style, where it's like black with the yellow letters and everything. Sick. But it's a completely illegal tag in the state of Florida, because it's anything. Basically, if you take your yellow sticker in the corner and you put it in the bottom left corner, you can get a ticket for it
Wow.
in Florida.
I didn't know
Everything goes in the upper right hand corner. Stop decorating your tag with your freaking stickers. It kills me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they're wrapping them. They've done news stories now.
I didn't know that.
FHP's doing a big push because guys, we're basically customizing their tags. And Florida's excuse is, look, we have 160 tags that you can pick from to try and get something nice if you want a
Why
different
not just
tag.
pick the space shuttle one? That's what I have. That's
Space
what I
Shuttle
have.
or
It's the
Florida,
best one.
Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
So
Got to rock a lot of red for that one though.
yeah. So
I want
all
to
right.
have an all black car with a red tag with a panther on it. I've already
Yeah.
thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why I was excited when UCF went to a black tag. They went
Yes.
from like a boring white tag with the Pegasus to the black tag with the Knight's head. So when they did that, I was like, that's
Well,
what I'm
until
getting.
my Hellcat got stolen,
Yeah.
that Sunrise PD helped me with.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what department that is.
I had the Miami Heat retro plate,
Uh-huh.
and it was all black with the Vice City blue. And
Oh,
pink.
with the pink. Yeah.
And I
the
never
blue
saw
and
that
pink.
plate again because the car was stolen.
Yeah. Damn. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. I got to clean up before we get evicted by Dunkin' Donuts. So thank
Yeah.
you very much, brother.
Of course, man. Dude, thank you for having
Thanks
me.
for coming on the
Yeah,
episode.
had a blast.
And, check out all the links below. It's got everything where you can find Kyle and all of his misadventures on YouTube and on Instagram.
Fun stuff.
Check it out. And don't forget to help out with the sponsors of the show. So thanks a lot. We'll wrap it up.
Thanks,
Later.
guys. Later.
Calling all units. Donut Shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.